Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, fellow nerds. Welcome to Nerdy Neighbors. I'm Zach, and now the rune hako to my Newt Gunray, Vince.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
Deep pull.
Had to Google it.
Deep cuts.
You know what I did? I wrote Newt Gunray friend.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid.
It's there's that guy who's always right next to him.
Yep.
Welcome to the Nerdy Neighbors, the nerdy podcast where two random nerds...
Two of them.
Tom Kenny, you know?
Yeah.
Two random nerds talk about stuff that interests them and are motivated only by their random minds and completely false false senses of intellectual taste.
It's tough out here.
It's a spoiler full podcast. Kill your darlings. Anything we want to talk about, we're going to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. We do our thing, and hopefully you enjoy it. Normally we start each day with news, but we're going to try something a little bit different here. Okay, so we're starting a new segment this week where we're actually reaching out to a friend of yours.
That's right.
Named Milk.
That's right.
Who runs?
Works in a comic book shop.
He's
been living and breathing and bleeding this stuff for, he's, I don't want to sell him out, but like he's the Obi-Wan to our Luke Skywalkers.
Right. So he's going to give us a couple of comic book recommendations in a segment we are now calling Bridget Jones's Dairy.
Oh, God. Milk, are you there? Did you hear that?
I am. That's terrible.
We'll think of something else.
Hello, everybody.
All right. So, Milk, you work at a comic book shop, right?
I do. I have for quite some time now. But I've collected my whole life. And I don't know. There's quite a few new books that have come out recently that are really taken off. Like there's stuff that people are really enjoying, and then there's stuff that's pretty terrible. So
I'm excited for everything.
Yeah.
To hear about.
Start with the terrible. That sounds more fun.
The terrible stuff?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's all opinion. So, I mean, I could be completely hated by professionals who hear me say these things. But
a big thing on this podcast is that it's just two dumbasses giving their opinions. So you're in good company.
Yeah. Also, nobody listens to this podcast, so you're completely fine.
Bingo.
So there's a brand new Silver Surfer that's out. And the brand new Silver Surfer is apparently not that horrible of a storyline, but I just can't get past the artwork. There's just so much crappy Silver Surfer art that's been done for like the past few runs. Like I've never been a huge fan of Alred, and Alred is, he was the last artist for Silver Surfer, and the new artist has a pretty similar style. I'm just not digging it. But
what specifically don't you like about it? Like, do you want it to be a little bit more like the old school Doctor Strange, where it's like psychedelic looking and a little bit trippier? Or
oh, I'd love that. I would absolutely love that. I love, I don't know, the more realistic Silver Surfer instead of the more cartoony. And I know we're talking about a comic book.
No, we got you, buddy.
Well, and not all of them are meant to, completely be serious. But with a staple character from the Marvel Universe like Silver Surfer, I would hope that eventually that they would just kind of like bring back what it should be. I mean, give it that strong, powerful thing that it was once before.
Gravitas.
Yes. So what's the storyline of the comic?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't read it.
All right.
What's
something that you have read that you can recommend?
What's something good that you could recommend?
Something good that I would recommend? The stuff that I really like is stuff that's been coming out of Image Comics. My favorites are East of West, Low, Saga. There's quite a few good ones, and then what they did was once Kirkman did such an amazing job with Walking Dead, they decided to let everybody kind of start something new and just see what took off, and it worked for a few people, but there's quite a bit of series that come out that don't last very long.
What was the first one you said? East and Low?
East of West.
East of West? What's East of West?
It's a cowboy comic about the Four Horsemen.
It's like a futuristic space cowboy type story that is primarily focused around the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. But what happens is they all start out from a young age and they grow up and they're raising hell on Earth. And they get to adulthood, and then death kills them, and they all die together, and then they're all reborn, and they start over and do it again. Well, death has decided to not follow them into doing it, and when they come back, they're like, okay, we got to go get them.
It's really
the
cool.
artwork is just awesome in that book. It's done by Nick Dragotta, who I met once, and he was an absolutely fantastic human being. Just drew a picture of death for me for free because I was chit-chatting with him for about 3 minutes.
90% of the time when I say, oh, I know a guy who's met that guy, I'm talking about Milk.
Gotcha.
All right, so...
I have been very fortunate to meet quite a few people in the industry, and extremely lucky to be friends with a lot of them, too.
Yeah, he's our local Simpsons comic book guy. All right, so there's a stay away from. Apparently, the Silver Surfer artwork is way too contemporary for Milk's taste, and there's a check out East and what's it called?
East of West.
East of West.
Yep,
it's an Image comic.
East of West.
All right, so finally, before we let you go, thanks for calling in. Hopefully, this technology worked out. We're talking Phantom Menace tonight. Do you have any kind of general thoughts or?
How you feel about the precursor
Yeah.
to
I
the?
loved it.
Did you really?
No.
Oh, Milk, you just killed
I'll
me.
tell you this though, it's way more tolerable. Wow, sorry about my words there.
That's
way
all right.
More
It's just a
tolerable
podcast.
now that I've watched the Clone Wars.
All right, yeah, me and you are in the same boat. But I've watched it. I tonight I'm taking a new opinion. I'm not gonna hardline go against Phantom Menace. I'm gonna try to be unbiased. I'm gonna try to shirk my childhood away from me and try to look at it as a film. And even then,
I think the biggest problem with Phantom Menace is the fact that you couldn't connect to Anakin because all you basically got was his angsty, moody self. You didn't have those moments where you were like, I love Anakin. Anakin is fantastic. That's what Clone Wars
Oh,
was.
Milk.
His angsty, moody side comes out in the next movie.
Are you guys angels?
Spinning. That's a good trick.
All right, so.
I have a boyfriend.
All right, buddy. Well, hopefully we make this happen every week. Thanks for the recommends. And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, plug your store.
Yeah, plug the store.
The Comic Depot, Saratoga Springs, New York, 514 Broadway.
There you go, guys. Go over there. Milk will hold your books for you and make recommendations based on books he's never read. Just flip through.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, man. See you. Till next
See
time.
you later. All right, and now we're going to get into news. So we took a week off, which has filled my news coffers. So let's get into it. So
I was wondering what you were doing with that bags of mail.
Yeah. Normally I hold money in them, so you might have noticed that the dollar sign was crossed out and
Is that
just
your-
full of.
Is that your network you have
Newspaper.
over there? It's just people writing you in
Exactly,
instead of
yeah.
using Google?
I only accept physical mail.
Yeah.
I'm an analog kind of guy. So E3 happened.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And in the comics vein of things, they released the cinematic for Marvel, the Square Enix Marvel
Avengers game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Marvel's Avengers game.
So
So many apostrophes.
my complete takeaway is I didn't see the game at all.
Right.
And I know that computers can make comic book characters look really cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, I mean, apparently,
thoroughly unimpressed, and the demo, I'm told, is also very lackluster.
yeah. I mean, Square Enix is a good developer. I think that they also they respond to fans, so it's not impossible.
I just think it's a
they'll
classic
correct things.
roll out too early thing.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they're not some of the worst when it comes to that. But apparently, the visuals did not impress the internet, as they were quite critical of the way that the Avengers looked. Seems weird.
I sort of get it. Everyone kind of looked very blocky and Lego-y.
Yeah, I guess.
I sort of get. I rarely pipe up with criticisms with things, but
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Call a duck a duck. It doesn't look that great.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
I'm fine with
And I also saw no gameplay, which always is striking to me when it comes to
it's worrisome.
Trailers.
All right. Other E3 stuff happened, but Nothing.
Yeah, Star Wars Fallen Jedi.
Star Wars Fallen Jedi, but we talked about that last week.
Oh, we did? Okay, cool.
Or
Last
time
episode,
we talked about it. Yeah. They announced the Lego Star Wars, which primo.
Banjo-Kazooie's in Super Smash.
Yep.
Come on, brah.
Halo Infinite, bunch of good stuff coming out. The X-Men animated series may be getting new life on Disney.
What?
The creative team reached out to Disney about restarting the series. I don't know about restarting, maybe continuing, but the creative team reached out. That's from the Hollywood Reporter.
That'd be insane.
Citing a source here.
Like a grown-up Jubilee, possibly. It's been 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, she's had history. Maybe she'll be a vampire when we get to her.
That'd be dope.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Okay. I'm going to save the piece of news that we plan on talking about a little bit more in depth. The X-Men thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to save that for last so that we can just burn through the rest of the stuff. The Joker movie is officially rated R.
Cool.
From the director's mouth.
Yeah. Good, right? Good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't know how you would do it without it.
Right, okay.
It'd be really weird.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers is possibly looking to shut down DC Universe.
Yeah.
And roll out their own centralized streaming service. That'll probably encompass HBO. I think Titans was the only series that they said was pretty much safe. So.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Really, really wild. I pray that they do not cancel Young Justice again.
Oh, I know. I didn't even think it would fall under that umbrella, but it might indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jeez.
The entire DC
like literally
division.
like space junk, like it's just floating in the wrong orbit and it's gonna get tanked. Oh no.
The Saturn's rings of Warner Brothers.
The teaser came out for that.
For the next season?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, there's not much to the teaser.
That's
a
fine.
lot of it's stuff from last season.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still fine with it. Rumor, Harry Osborn may be showing up in the post-credit scene of Far From Home.
Mm.
And also...
That's not tantalizing news to me.
Well, also, not Warner Brothers, Marvel released a casting call for somebody... I think it was between 40s and 60s Caucasian to play the benefactor.
Yes. I heard about that too.
Do you think that that's Norman?
That was the way that it was pitched to me in my Instagram feed, was that like they're looking for the benefactor, and that the rumor is that it'll be Norman
the crazy
Osborn.
Hair.
I mean,
Sideways cornrows.
I certainly hope so, but I think the other thing that they do well over there is like kind of homages that aren't direct things, because
he'll wear a beanie.
Yeah, well, or he'll have that haircut and have all the trappings of Norman Osborn, but won't be Norman Osborn, that kind of thing.
Yep, a very Riverdale.
Yeah, or
thing.
frankly, Lord of the Rings did it best. Of like, these kind of homages that are in the spirit of what happened in the story and not necessarily exactly what happened.
Right.
So not pleasing everybody, but kind of a
pleasing no one.
A creative compromise, if you will. I don't know. Some of that stuff is cool, especially in Lord of the Rings. All
right, so last little bits of news I got. Dark Phoenix released to the lowest opening an X-Men movie has received to date.
Yeah.
I think something like 30 million.
Yes, I've seen some of it.
Yeah.
So I think the problem, specifically with this film, like if you kind of get rid of the fact that these are kind of two-dimensional characters that it's hard to care about, because they all also sort of blend together in what they have in, like, they are all the same in that, we're different because we're mutants, but we're different versions of the same kind of entity.
Yes.
Like
we're so alike.
No one's
so different.
Well, just we haven't taken the time in these films to really get to know anyone.
Yeah,
so,
I couldn't tell you what Cyclops' personality is.
Yes, the only thing that really makes Cyclops different than Quicksilver or anyone else is
Quicksilver's cool.
Is his outfit, and I guess, but like even Cyclops is kind of quippy and stuff.
Yeah, but not to like. I'm talking about we've had multiple movies that have introduced Quicksilver in a type A role.
Right.
Where
okay.
He's going
well,
out
then
and
here's a
being
better
active.
thing. The only thing that makes Cyclops different than Nightcrawler is Nightcrawler has a tail and Cyclops has the visor, and Storm has almost no presence whatsoever.
Yeah.
As far as like even lines, like she doesn't have dialogue. She's literally just
which is
a powerhouse character
because she's a millennial.
Well,
like
User
Storm has never been a millennial.
The User are almost like the Thor of the piece. It's like...
Which is dumb. Just because she has lightning powers doesn't mean that she is Thor.
Yeah.
Like, she should be an entirely different character.
That's what I mean. Again,
also, she sided with the bad guy last movie.
Yeah.
She shouldn't be the fun, quippy guy.
Okay, let's put all that stuff aside. There's this theme that the movie is trying to communicate of, like, sometimes even in your niche groups,
yep,
you push someone out and you shouldn't. Like, we're all the same, everybody love everybody and all that kind of crap.
Right.
But it's beating you over the head with it while beating you over the head with it with, like, an inflatable hammer. So there's no impact. It's just annoying.
Yep.
It's just squeaking and whapping you on the head.
Job done.
Yes. Just kill me then.
Yeah.
Well,
I've also got another little
that's
thing
my
here.
overall kind of takeaway from the
So
Phoenix.
Apparently at the end of the X-Men movie, it was supposed to be revealed that they're supposed to go to Congress, I believe. Jean would go to Congress, Cyclops and Xavier would show up behind her, and then like a ton of like police officers and politicians would be revealed to be Skrulls. But they dropped it because of the ending of Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, that's what's rumored. I believe that came from an interview with the actor who played Cyclops. But instead, we got a train.
I don't even know how to wrap my head around that. There's like
the thing
my
about...
first thought is like maybe at one point in the script it was that, but I think for the last 4 years or so, Marvel has owned the term and the concept of Skrulls. There was no sharing of that with the Fox people.
It is split because Fox owned the Super Skrull, but I think the concept of Skrulls was owned by Marvel.
I see.
Yeah, I don't know how any of that would
see. That's the thing is like that's when I hear stuff like that, I go, that sounds like fan wish fulfillment. That sounds like internet BS to me. Like, I just have a hard time with like because also just from as a guy who really knows X-Men, Skrulls really have nothing to do. Like one of the things that was
Secret Invasion, right?
From 4 years ago, that has so little to do with the Phoenix. Secret Invasion invaded everybody.
You expect Fox to be the one to tell like a cohesive solo Phoenix story?
Well, these like the aliens
tries and haven't done it yet.
The aliens that are there, it's such a strange missed opportunity to not do the Shi'ar.
Right.
And so then when you bring up the Skrull thing, it's like it seems so random that I have a hard time believing it. Like, not because it's like, oh, they wouldn't be that bad. It's like that's such a specific type of bad. That's like I don't know.
I don't know if I think that, because I think Skrulls were, even before Captain Marvel came out, I think they were more in the public attention.
But as an X-Men fan, I don't know. Right, but that's sort of the point. Is like Skrulls and Kree are like in the Avengers thing, and that's kind of what Claremont did, was he introduced the Shi'ar. And like, and as far as intergalactic X-Men adventures, it's all intertwined with the Shi'ar.
Right.
Just as much as Avengers are with the Kree and the Skrull. That's what I mean by like, this isn't like nerdy like, oh no, they shouldn't do that. It's like such a like, man, that's such a specific misfire.
Right.
Like
why would you get that one wrong?
Yeah. It's sort of like having Superman fight Scarecrow. Like, it's like, I guess that's sort of right.
Yeah. I get that.
That's why I kind of go, that sounds like fan crapola to me. But that, again, like, it's such a strange misfire to not have it be the Shi'ar.
Yeah.
And even just call them the Shi'ar, like, they're these, like, super people.
Right.
Like, they can take bullets, and they all have super strength, and they all are fast runners and stuff. And
Kryptonians.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. They just don't fly or shoot lasers, but they're basically that.
Gotcha.
And I don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
It's such a specific laziness that when I hear the Skrull thing, it's like, well, no, that would take research.
Yeah. They'd have to give a damn.
Yeah. They'd have to cracked open a comic once in their life.
All right, Zach. The topic of today's episode is not Dark Phoenix.
No, it's not.
We decided to not hoard that terrible information.
Even though I did a bit of a deep dive. No, this week we're going out...
To the stars.
To the stars. I was actually going to say the outer rim, but we're not. We're actually going to be in the inner rim?
Yeah, core.
The core.
The core planets.
Core planets.
We were talking about Phantom Menace. this week.
Yes. Cue the Dueling Fates theme.
All right, we're gonna get copyrighted.
That might have just fallen under parody. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, maybe just.
Yeah.
Okay, so we decided to revisit the precursor to the post-curse.
Which you unironically love.
Yeah. I love, with the exception of the second movie, I love the prequels.
Right. So I'm not going to make you justify your feelings, but I am going to.
Feel free.
No, I'm not going to.
I trained.
That's no fun. But
I put a bunch of anti-prequel
I've watched this movie
sandbag.
a bunch of times. I'm going to try to set the table for Zach, not so much the movie, because everyone's seen this movie.
Yeah.
So I've seen this movie a bunch of times. My first couple of times, we looked it up the other day. I was 12 years old, and I saw it with my mom and my two brothers the first time, and I think just my one brother the second time. And I think we saw it twice in very close proximity to each other, because all of us, even my brother and I at our young ages, were like, I don't think that was that great of a movie.
Which is weird, because it was critically well received.
Yeah, but we were Star Wars fans, so for us it was tough. I don't remember it being critically well received.
Oh no, it was.
So and then in the incurring years, I was very much part of the prequels ilk, and they made me mad. I felt betrayed by them.
Mm-hmm. How could they do that to me?
Yeah. This was a big. I was a teenager, and so then in my 20s, I kind of had another like Star Wars renaissance in my life, and I came back to the prequels, trying to like them. I had developed my taste a little bit, and was like, maybe I was drinking too much of the Kool-Aid and just being part of the cool kids.
Right.
In the 20s, my opinion didn't change too much. Actually, there were a lot more specific gripes, and I got even angrier at George Lucas. I'm now an older man. There are other things that make me mad.
A changed man.
Yeah.
Now you love the Phantom Menace. It's your favorite movie.
No, but I do.
You get that full-size George Lucas back tat.
I love the Attack of the Clones. I love the Clone Wars cartoon so much, and it's given me a love of that era. So, and it's not something I stay away from. I'm not like, ew, the Phantom Menace. But for me, it is not a movie I love to watch. And that sets the table for me in Phantom Menace. Where were you at? Always loving it?
So, I saw that movie, I think, when I was around 8.
Well, okay. It came out in 99.
Okay, so maybe...
How old were you? It came out in 99.
I was 7 then.
Okay.
So yeah, not far off. So I saw it very early on. I think it may have been the first movie I saw in theaters.
Oh my God.
Maybe not. I may have only seen it at home. But regardless, I loved it from the first second I saw it, because at that point I had not seen the original trilogy. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
My
my God.
love of Star Wars.
Listeners, if you could have saw my face just now.
My love of Star Wars started chronologically.
I see.
So,
God. Friends of mine have talked about your generation, and we wonder about you. Please continue.
Okay. So, I love the movie from the get. It may be the movie I've seen the most amount of times. Maybe Revenge of the Sith. But one of those. Just because I fell in love. Crazy fantasy and space and laser swords and pod races and Wattos.
This explains to me so much why you don't like things that have narrative depth. Hold on.
I enjoy things with narrative depth.
Well, okay. I told
Blood
you.
Drive.
I'm compiling you'll be interested to see in a couple of weeks. I'm making a graph. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, okay, good. I think that sets the table pretty good. So, for me, watching it this time, I found myself really enjoying this and appreciating the fact that this was just George's vision. And there was a time that, as much as I knew that intellectually, it was the thing I hated about it.
Yeah.
And there's some still very specific gripes I have.
I gotcha.
I'd love to organically go into them. I don't have notes in front of me. We'll see what happens.
Oh, we're living on the edge.
We're in the Star Wars poppy fields right now,
Oh
kids.
boy.
But my first thought was,
Moisture farms.
I love the Star Wars moisture farms.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, fine. We're in the Star Wars. You want to retake?
No. This is all.
You want to give me a
in.
note in the middle of my tangent? I'm gonna address it.
I'm just saying. I've
No,
never
Goku's
seen
just a
Poppy
saying.
Fields.
You're a person.
God.
Damn
it.
Yeah, I love how cool Ewan McGregor looks. And Liam
he's
Neeson.
such a baby.
They look like he really is, but they look like action figures right away.
Yes,
which is a thing that I used to resent. And as far as filmmaking goes, it is one of the weaknesses of the film is how much it leans on the wardrobe and the aesthetic and blah 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 blah.
Right.
But
Gotta get those toy
if
sales.
you get over that,
If you were to kill your darlings.
yeah, if you get over that, it is something to enjoy. And it's something I've always said on this podcast is that I love the look of these movies.
Yeah.
Everything is so sleek. It looks like the Renaissance era of whatever culture, I don't know, whatever society this sort of is that we're visiting. And it's so... it's not just sleek, I want to say. It's so elegant. And it's something I want to I want to go have drinks at Naboo, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Like, just take my lady
Grab
out.
some scones.
Not even, man. Like, what's the nightlife like at Naboo? You probably have some crazy wine and crepes, and fish is probably wonderful there. So I found myself
As long as you don't think you're better than the Gungans. You can have a crazy time.
From an Anthony Bourdain level, I was like really enjoying. Like, oh man,
I dig it.
But it is still a little confusing. It's still a little in a vacuum.
I agree with you there.
In a vacuum, right away, what's going on?
Sure.
Who are these people and why are we here? And I don't know what any of those words meant. Of course I do. But I mean, if I don't care or know about Star Wars, it's just, it's that type of thing. As much as it's been said a billion times, I can't not address it.
No, I get it.
Because I'm thinking about it. It's weighing me down.
Yeah. There's the beginning
Don't
of the movie.
defend it. Talk about things you like.
No,
Don't do
I'm
that
saying
thing.
that the beginning of the movie does lack a bit of narrative cohesion. We're sort of dropped in the middle of something, but I dig that about it. I like that this world has existed.
Well, okay. I would argue we're
this
dropped in the
universe.
middle of the beginning of something, which is kind of the bummer.
Well, I mean, we're not spoon-fed the beginning. We don't see Palpatine plotting behind the scenes, and we don't see the first meeting of Newt Gunray and Darth Sidious. Like, it's a world that has existed, and there's...
Newt Gunray and his buddy, Rune Haka.
Yes, of course.
Hako, I think, actually.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I don't know. I dig that about the whole deal. Like, there's stuff happening on another side of this galaxy that we'll have no idea.
Not one-to-one with A New Hope, but, like, A New Hope is... You're in the middle of something. There's a ship getting attacked.
Yeah.
And it's so visually apparent what's happening.
Right.
Because the Star Destroyer is so much bigger than this thing it's attacking. It's so clearly they're being overwhelmed. And it's so clear who the bad guys are.
I mean, in the first 5 minutes, you learn... Like, in the first opening scene, you learn who the good guys are.
The thing is, I just read a paragraph
George Lucas
about
does that
tariffs.
trope where the white guys are the good guys.
Well, yeah. Okay. Let's move on. I'm afraid we're going into bad territory here.
Gotcha.
They look rad.
They do look rad.
It's a confusing beginning.
Yes.
Droid decars are super cool.
They're so good. Master, destroy us. You want to talk about the weird force speed that doesn't come up again?
No.
Oh, okay.
You know why I don't want to talk about that?
People
There's
talk
an
about it.
Empire Strikes Back video game where Luke, for Super Nintendo, where Luke gets this super dash.
Right.
So for me, the first time I saw that movie, completely makes sense.
Ah.
That adds up 100%. I played this Empire Strikes Back movie where Luke had this force powers. I have no problem with that. Almost any kind of space magic the Jedis do that don't make sense that people get hung up on. I even have no problem with the high ground thing. After all that,
the high ground thing
leaping
makes
around.
sense.
It sort of doesn't. If we watch that scene, I can show you a lot of jumps he makes that are quite a bit higher.
No, that's not... Okay, so here's the thing.
Nope, that's not the movie we're talking about.
No.
Okay.
We're talking about it.
Okay.
Because that is the big... Like, as a prequel lover, that is the biggest argument I've had for why people don't like Revenge of the Sith. Mm-hmm. Oh, the high ground thing doesn't make sense. He's done incredible feats. He's jumped up 80 stories or whatever.
Yeah.
This movie sets that plot point.
How?
Because Obi-Wan is able to defeat Darth Maul by leaping to the high ground. So it makes sense.
Not really. He just
leaps over him, which is exactly what Anakin was trying to do with Obi-Wan.
But so if anything, Obi-Wan successfully does what Anakin
so then he knows
which
that
makes
it is
even less sense.
He knows that it's possible, and he's able to train for that eventuality.
That's a massive leap, and like you're connecting.
I don't think
it's a massive leap. It actually what you just said from a filmmaking standpoint negates, he says, "Don't do this. It's impossible."
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
against him.
No, that's not what he said.
It's not what he says, but
he said, "Don't take the high ground strategically."
I have the high ground.
If he says, "Anakin, there's no way you can do this against me."
Yes,
that's one thing. He doesn't say, "Anakin, don't do it," or "Anakin, don't make me," or something along the lines of, "I have the knowledge to stop what you're about to do." He says, "The reason you shouldn't do this is that I have the high ground."
Because he is better at the high ground.
No.
At defending
what
the
you're
high
doing
ground.
right now is the reverse of filmmaking and storytelling. Like you don't go, "Oh no, the person does this thing impossibly in the first one," and so that he has that knowledge for the third one. Like that's not the amount of planning that went into this. Like genuinely, he had written himself into a corner because Jedis have done amazing things. So all he could do is go, "Hey man, I'm higher on this hill," because George Lucas isn't actually
Mm.
a duelist, and you can't really have space wizards. So, but because he's so driven by this weird logic to things, he had to do that. He doesn't understand character or story.
But George Lucas,
it would have been wonderful if he said to Anakin...
His whole thing about making these movies is that they rhyme. It's poetry. They rhyme. So if in the beginning, if in the first iteration, he's able to defeat somebody who had the high ground on him, and then in the third, he's able to defend the high ground successfully from somebody trying to do the same thing.
I don't know how... If someone keeps saying to me the sky is purple, at a certain point, I'm just going to stop arguing with them. All right,
moving on.
No, I don't want to move on. But I'm going to start with that point. But genuinely, I'm not even going, "Oh, by the rules of filmmaking." I mean, I'm sort of saying that. But if that was the case, there is so little evidence other than in this first movie, this thing happened, and then at the end, this other thing.
I'm not saying it's the best. I'm saying that's if I was in charge of these movies, that would be something that I wouldn't change. I would add stuff in the middle to display that.
Okay,
but I wouldn't change that.
We are given like Exhibit A and B. We are only given what the directors give us, right? And some of that is a visual component, and some of that is dialogue. And he says, "I have the high ground." The meaning of that line is, "Do not do this. I am higher. Strategically speaking, there's no way you can get over me." In the first movie, he's hanging by a thread and he jumps over the guy and cuts him in half. So it's absolute proof that's not an arc. There's not if he said to him, "Anakin, don't do this." Not so much I have a move that can fight it. If he didn't say, "I have the high ground."
Up, down, down.
The thing is, by saying "I have the high ground," he is saying "I know the code." He's saying, because I'm standing here higher than you, there's no way you can get over me. Meanwhile, the killing strike in the first movie was him just jumping over,
We have to move on.
Okay, nope.
The sky is blue, not purple.
No,
we have to move on.
You have to agree.
There's a whole lot of movie. I am not going to agree with you. I've had this opinion.
The higher ground thing just doesn't make sense. But you have to say that's okay. You just have to say that's okay because this madman it's his vision.
Right.
That's what sucks and rules about it. That's what sucks and rules about Phantom Menace. Let's talk about the pod race.
Let's talk about the pod race.
All right.
You have terrible feelings about the pod race. You have
Here's
a
the
bad
thing.
feeling, one would say.
Here's the thing. Yeah, I got a bad feeling about this. Here's the thing about the pod race.
I agree with
that-
you, by the way, on your sentiments about the pod race.
Is that it is? Thank you. It is that it is a. It's such a microcosm of what George Lucas thinks is interesting about storytelling, and it's this vulgar attention to detail.
Yes.
And we see every lap of this race. We see
Uncut.
Yes.
Yes. We see every lap without anything in between it.
It should be on Pornhub. It's so uncut.
Oh, boy. It's the South Park movie.
This pod race ain't Jewish. That's how uncut it is.
Oy vey.
But to him, I get it, because to him that's something no one's ever seen before.
Exactly.
To him,
Innovating.
when he sees
It's the Avatar movie.
when he sees Ben-Hur, and like he feels like he saw every moment of that chariot race, and,
Right.
and that's drama.
Yep.
And that's I think Ben-Hur really drove him with the Speed Racer. Excuse me.
Thinking about a better movie.
And it's just too much, and it's just what.
Well, it's not even that. It's too much, and at the same time, it is too little.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to a friend of the podcast, Nate, about the pod race specifically, and he kind of shares a sentiment that he brought up very well that I'm going to completely butcher. But there should have been we should not have gotten 3 uncut laps. It should have been interspliced with how that pod race affects each of the other racers.
Yeah.
To build the world out and also give stakes to something.
That's exactly
at this point it's either Sebulba or Anakin in a pod race that has like 16 people.
That's what we were talking about off mic when we decided to do this. When I was saying, like, there's such an opportunity to give that race emotional stakes, and there's such an opportunity to even tell a story. Like in a good fight scene can tell a story.
Should tell a story.
Yeah, that pod race could have told a story. And I mean,
which is weird because the fight at the end does tell a story. But
yeah,
we'll get there when we get there. I'm sorry. But
what a cherry on the top of a turd sandwich is that entire debacle. But the final thing I'll say about this is something my wonderful brother Adam and we're talking about last week, is I also sort of don't understand the stakes of the gamble, of the bet between Qui-Gon and Watto.
If I win, I get your slave.
And if I lose, you keep the thing I already won from you or something? Like, I just don't understand why Watto would have even taken the bet.
The race, the bet's for...
He keeps the ship, doesn't he?
No.
Did I misunderstand that?
Yeah, no. The bet between Watto and Qui-Gon that happens before the events of the race is he wants Anakin on top of the parts for the ship. So he's betting credits in
But what does Watto get? No, my friend. I don't think...
Well, yeah, no, he bets the ship as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
I apologize.
So if I'm Watto, I'm like... I just... Again... Okay, this is... Okay.
I mean, one slave versus a Naboo cruiser.
Okay. But, not to get too... Sabak about this. But is he...
I hate that that's a thing.
Is he just... I love our podcast. Yeah. Is he just... He's one of... As far as we've seen, again, filmmaking.
Yep.
This guy has 2 slaves.
Yeah.
And one of them seems to be a super talented, like, mechanical genius at the age of like 6 or something. It just seems like high risk for Watto. I know it seems like a sure thing of a bet.
It's also high reward as well, and it also seems like a sure thing because Anakin's never even completed a race before. Like, that's a big plot point, is that he was able to save most of the pod, but he has yet to finish a race.
I just still think... I just think it's thin.
Also, going up against a dog.
Ugh, Sebulba.
Slimo.
He's a particularly bad dog. Names him Bulba. Better get home, Annie. Boat's aching.
All right, we gotta stop. This podcast just devolves into aliens.
I wanted that to happen.
Oh boy.
Excuse me. It just seems okay. Here's what I mean when it seems thin. If me and you are writing this, and it's like 3:00 in the morning, and we both just want to go home, I'm still like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's no way. Yeah. Grab a couple Red Bulls, buddy. We're
Yeah,
staying
dude,
up.
put another pot on. I don't know. We got to figure this out.
Yeah.
And that's. I feel like they're okay. So the pod race. That was my grievance with the pod race. I sort of like. I want to. My general grievance with the pod race is that it's incredibly pornographically his vision and not for the benefit of the audience.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that irritates me most. It's my entire thing about Jim Carrey.
Right.
Is that it more negatively affects people around him. And it just feels that way. It feels like such an asshole boss going, shut up.
And do it.
Nobody knows except for me.
Yeah, I get that. I feel that.
Moving back though,
okay.
I really, especially this time, like the cloak and dagger stuff around Queen Amidala. I actually think that's a very cool element of this film.
Same.
Yeah.
I really like the body double. I really like... I also like Keira Knightley, so I'm glad that's this kickstarted her career.
Yeah, good for her. But it is, like, it's sort of like, I sort of wish they found a way to keep that going.
Yeah. I'm glad it ended when it did, because, like,
I guess it would be kind of happy.
Yeah,
I guess I wish more happened with it than at the end she was like, no, it's been me the entire time, Padme. I like that concept.
Yeah,
There's always this gaggle of broads and everybody like, oh boy, that was...
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Nerdy Neighbors brought to you by Vince and Archie Bunker.
I tell you what, Vince, all these broads, they look like Keira Knightley. I don't know which is which.
One more word, Zach, one more word. Straight to Coruscant.
I liked it. Yeah, that's a fun concept. It maybe sort of shit the bed in the script, but it's fun in the movie.
I agree.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Isagungan City?
No, because I don't want to pile on.
Okay, all right. Nope. Then moving on.
But there's always a bigger fish, Vince.
There's always a bigger fish. Oh, I love that. Because it encapsulates the Sith.
You can't love that.
It's about life. There's always a bigger fish.
Yeah, I don't know if it encapsulates. This is another, like, stretch. It's another stretch Armstrong. It's more... That's a charming... That's George Lucas going, we're all having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's George Lucas trying to be Spielberg. There's always a bigger fish.
I love it. Okay, so moving on from there, we've got the Coruscant stuff.
Well, should we talk introduction of R2-D2?
Sure.
He saves the day.
He does. That little astromech droid did it.
He's the only one who's going to make it. A lot of drama in that for all of us the first time we watched it.
Yeah.
Is R2 going to make it?
I think that's the first chronological appearance of R2-D4 as well.
What's the significance of that?
He doesn't have significance.
Okay. Moving on.
Did you know in the comics there's an astromech droid that's a Jedi?
What? No, there isn't.
Yeah. And it's the droid that goes haywire when Luke is picking out droids from the Jawas.
No, that droid's got a bad motivator.
No. In the comics, that droid is a Jedi. It knows that Luke needs to meet R2-D2. So after it gets chosen, it self-destructs.
Are you sure it's not a bad motivator?
100% sure, dog.
I've been told it had a bad motivator.
You got some bad info.
That
seems like a biased commentary that you're getting there.
Talk about some solid script writing.
This was after the
fact. This R4 unit's got a bad motivator.
That's really good. It's so dumb. I love it.
That's a wonderful line read from yours truly.
Yeah.
Coruscant. Coruscant is rad.
It is.
It's a cool concept. I don't know why no one else thought of that. Excellently executed. Let's talk about
droids, baby.
Okay. Let's talk about Palpatine.
Yes.
Uh,
Sweet, sweet Senator Palpatine, who couldn't hurt a fly if he tried. Couldn't cut down 4 Jedi Masters.
You know why I'm short wiring? I'm trying to remember the actor's name. I keep thinking Ian McDormant, which is not right. Oh, it is?
It is.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
He's
kept
the
thinking,
actor who played him originally.
I keep thinking, like, no, you're getting Francis McDormand and someone else.
Ian McDermott.
Thank you.
Yes, I apologize.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not right.
I thought you were just a bit buzzed.
Nope. Just not remembering, just conflating 2 actors.
That's all right. Watching Good Omens.
So he is crushing. Like
he nails it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, he nails it.
The 2 actors who I think come out of this entire trilogy without any smoosh on them is 3. Samuel L. because you can't get smoosh on that guy.
Can't do it.
Ewan McGregor and Ian McDormant.
Ian McDermott.
Yeah, McDormant. Like the dorm mitt?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Ian McDormant.
Ian McDormant. He
Dormant.
He doesn't he doesn't erupt. He's chill. And then we get to episode 3. Pompeii, dude.
I am the Senate.
Such a good line.
It took us, listeners, applaud us, because it took us 45 minutes, depending on how this gets edited, for one of us to say, I am the Senate. Which is a huge amount.
It is. And honestly, that's
of discipline.
That's applaudable on our standards.
But he's so lovable and fluffy in this movie. He's playing it perfectly.
Yeah.
He's the only one who's reading the script and making artistic choices, I would argue.
Yeah.
I think Ewan McGregor is so young and going, Star Wars?
Well, I mean, that's what fans have said in defense of or to its detriment, is that, like, when the original trilogy was being filmed, Harrison Ford looked at that script and he made changes on the fly because he didn't think that humans would talk like that. Whereas with this, you have a bunch of younger actors trying to make their name with a well-known and revered director.
I think it's there on screen. I think you see it.
Yeah. It's 100%.
Ewan McGregor, there are just times where you could just see it.
Are you an angel? Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah. That kid is, I mean, whatever happened in his personal life, he's acting in a vacuum. There's almost no help.
I get it.
I think the worst victim is Vamp for me.
Blah, 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 blah.
Good job.
I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. You ended on a question. You could just name the character. I can give you the actor. Liam Neeson?
No. The Gungan.
Jar Jar.
Jar Jar.
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
Ahmed Best.
Who I've listened to a lot of interviews with him, and like he was on one of my favorite podcasts. I was there too. Mm-hmm. And that poor guy, like, he was just trying to be funny. He was like doing his best.
What he's got.
Everyone, like even Liam Neeson, was going like, "Hey man, that's really good" and stuff. And I mean, like he certainly wasn't blaming Liam Neeson, but it's like that guy was blamed for
the failure of that movie.
Yeah. And it's just not on Jar Jar.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Not that those.
There were artistic choices made that should not have been made, and that actor trying to make whatever he could out of that role is not one of those choices.
The thing is, I also think on set it's so hard to tell what works, and especially with something that's never been done before, because it's like he's just this tall gentleman in a strange gimp suit.
Yep.
And he's doing this
golf ball on his forehead.
He's doing this crazy accent, and it probably, when you're looking at that, some of that stuff probably was funny on set, and
right.
And it probably was a set devoid of any fun or emotion.
100%.
So
I honestly would love.
It's hard to create an environment like that.
I would love to see uncut outtakes of them in the ship as they're traveling through the planet core. But just like all of the crazy
that
stuff.
That is, by the way, when he is the most charming.
I agree.
Woo, yeah. Gooberfish and like all that stuff really lands for me.
Woo!
Yeah. That like close quarters with 2 Jedis. Jar Jar really works.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's just, for the next 2 hours when you have him stepping in shit and, like, eating stuff with his weird tongue, it's like, all right. Waka Waka.
With the Jedi reflexes.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it.
trying to be positive here, man.
I get it.
Like, I think that guy's doing good work.
Let's move on to the final fight.
Should we? I just want to talk about Palpatine a little bit more
Sure.
and how
What you wanna
cool
say?
that plan is, because that's one of the only things in the script that works. It's one of the only things that feels like was something he was thinking about for a decade or more.
Yeah.
Is this incredibly intricate plan of, tricking these people from his, like, on his home planet. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Vamp with me here instead of just saying yeah.
Well, I mean, do you want some more weird extended universe stuff?
Sure. Let's see how I feel about it.
You won't like it.
Okay.
So the reason that Palpatine decides to take over the Senate and create a galactic empire and create the Death Star is he knows of an incoming invasion that
The using Vong?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look at you.
Yeah,
I
don't
did
worry,
not
buddy.
expect that.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. I
but-
read some books.
Yeah, look at you. Yeah.
I didn't know that he... This
That was the
this
catalyst.
tidbit I didn't know.
Yeah, that was the catalyst of his entire takeover. Is
Neat.
to prevent this thing. So they try and turn him into like the
Yeah.
anti-hero.
Yeah.
Which is weird because he
Yeah.
cackles and shoots lightning. But
I that slightly makes him feel watered down to me. I like the Plagueis disciple,
Yep.
power hungry for power's sake guy.
Yeah, I agree.
That feels a lot more Sithy.
100%.
And in my
He's just so conniving and wonderful and
yeah,
strings.
and I mean, and what works the best in this film is this underlining thing that's happening that nobody can even tell is happening.
Yeah.
This is the thing that script to screen genuinely functions.
I agree.
Yeah.
I hate saying yes, and I agree so much, but it's true. It's just.
But he seems very harmless. My mom...
Exactly. And I love the scene of him at the end at Qui-Gon's funeral pyre where you see Yoda and Mace talking about the Sith and he's just standing 5 feet away.
Yeah.
Just...
And not even overacting, just staring at the pyre.
Yep, exactly.
It's a goddamn miracle that George Lucas didn't have him leer at them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, he would have had him grin. Oh, yeah. Ironic.
I just really appreciated that this time, and it was one of the first times I went. When he says I've been writing this for 10 years, he means I've been thinking about
That.
how an emperor could come into power. And
Right, exactly. All the seedy, underhanded, back alley stuff that has to happen in order to drive the power to this one figure.
I think when you're a young man, the romantic aspects of the Joseph Campbell archetype things are very fascinating.
Yep.
And then the older you get, the more fascinated you get with guys like Caesar and Alexander and stuff like that.
And being able to play with those tropes.
Well, did he, or was he more interested in telling like a History Channel version of that?
I could see that.
I think you couldn't argue that just the original, trilogy.
Coming up after Pawn Stars, the War of the Blockade. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that.
And I think it's like, it's not to say like, oh, he got old and he lost his touch. Like, that's an oversimplification. But the things that interested him changed.
Yeah, exactly.
And
he was less focused on the typical hero's journey versus this villain coming to power and the different journey that would take.
And I think for him, not to talk about this too much, I'm sorry, listeners, but I think for him, artistically, he got a little bit lost in the weeds. Because I think he did, unfortunately, have a lot to accomplish with these trilogies. And with this prequel trilogy.
Right.
And I think he didn't leave room for himself for organic growth. Like, he didn't leave room to do the Phantom Menace and go, oh, this is what was exciting to write about. I'm going to do this more. Like, do you know what I mean?
No, I get that. I get that.
I think he was a little bit too tightly engineered, and then he tried to organically move in between, and it kind of made it feel... It's not so much... the prequels are sort of cohesive.
They're definitely
You can't argue
cohesive.
that.
It's a story.
But it doesn't necessarily invoke anything emotionally a lot of the time. It checks a lot of boxes.
You are 100% correct. It feels like a film student's final.
Mm-hmm. But that they did the night before on a bunch of Adderall.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the final battle. I feel like I gushed enough about the Palpatine of it all.
Okay, so 12-year-old Zack is in the theater, and he sees Darth Maul take off the hood.
Well,
you see the horned head. You see
Dueling Fate starts playing, dude.
See the first lightsaber blade come out.
Adrenaline is pumping. I want to be in the hall. Like, I just want to be in the aisle copying what they're doing. It was the second time I watched it, I think I even said something out loud to myself. I think I did little Mr. Burns fingers and at 12-year-old Zach, like, and I think I went, "This is what it's all come to," or something like that. Just like, I was in it, baby. Solid. It was so visceral for me. So redundant, but Dueling Fates is so rad. That John Williams, man, he just, like, the drama of that scene is so upped by Dueling Fates. I mean, Darth Maul is an imposing individual. And that Lucas, man, he's good at aesthetics. He's good at going, yeah, this looks cool.
Yeah. Also, like, if you want to talk about storytelling in a fight scene, it is obvious that Obi-Wan is way out of his league. He is constantly pushed away from the fight, whereas Qui-Gon, simple, steady moves, following basics, is able to keep on pace with Darth Maul using this.
But we're also faced with the... I cut you off.
No, go ahead.
We're also faced with this overwhelmingly aggressive, quick Sith.
Yes.
This is not what they're used to. They're used to being able to react and kind of like, this is the antithesis of Jedi. This is the, like, no, you don't get to get familiar with your surroundings. You don't get to, like, you defend.
Exactly.
Attack me back.
On you.
I'm on you.
Yes. I love the laser light field, despite it making no sense. It's fine by me.
See, I've never thought that made no sense.
Oh, really?
I don't even know what that thing's supposed to be.
The whole thing is that, like, people wonder why Obi-Wan didn't use Force speed to catch up.
Oh,
during that whole deal.
Because you're in a fight.
I agree.
You have wizard superpowers, but you're
focused
20
on something else.
And fighting this, like, horn guy who is, like, genuinely a threat, which for you in your career, there have been things that are a threat, but never, like, the Sith. I mean, this is, I don't know.
No,
I could feed in a lot of story stuff. It's like, yeah, no, I mean...
Same. Also, like, extended universe stuff kind of coincides with not being able to use every force power at your whim. And
to fall back on my film thing, like, Qui-Gon in that little hut was talking about how Jedis are people. They're flawed. And, he wishes they were immortal. Like, even if you could summon the Force speed, maybe right after you just defended and parried and looked up and figured out what was going on, there was a freaking thing in front of your face.
Now you've
been
sliced in
twain.
You're
a Padawan.
Right, exactly.
You're still... I don't know.
No, he was ready to take the trials.
Yeah, he was. I foresee that you will be a great Jedi. That line bothered me this time.
Really?
Foresee, the word foresee bothered me.
Okay, what about it?
Foresee makes it feel factual. Foresee makes it feel kind of Nostradamus-y.
Yeah,
I know that there are space wizards and all that kind of stuff.
There's been premonitions before as well.
Bubba, I know. I don't know why, but it felt bullshitty. It felt like, As a guy with dad issues, it felt like a guy going, you just tell me what you want to hear so I get off your case.
Well, like, I also can subscribe to the notion that it was fake and was made up because Qui-Gon, up until that point, had also been, like, we've learned that he doesn't follow the Jedi Code to a T. He does what he wants. He's going to train Anakin regardless of whether the council says they approve or not.
Which is, like, I mean, you're listing stuff that makes me go, like, man, I wish he had a little character.
Yeah, he was definitely just put in the
bloody vanilla.
Yeah, he was put in the vanilla mentor role. But even still. So, in this final fight, characterization is perfect.
Stakes
are set.
Palpable.
Yeah. Did you know that the soundtrack for the movie released early, and one of the tracks is called Qui-Gon's Sacrifice?
No.
So people going into the movie knew that he was going to die.
Bad form, to quote Hook. Bad form.
But yeah, so... We
Man,
learn
what a bummer.
everything. Yeah, that's
Can you imagine?
Ooh, no, well, I mean, we've had spoilers come out like that.
Yeah, but like Star Wars is like me and you especially because we've been very fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this Marvel movie's happened in like 11 years.
Yeah.
Like even me, Phantom Menace, I was 12.
Right.
So I had been aware of Star Wars for let's call it 6 years. Like, so that was how long I waited.
Gotcha.
You
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah. To be
as aware as I was that everyone's waited since 1989 for another Star Wars, it was like I was 3.
I couldn't imagine that because like that would be crushing. You're just walking through school one day and some kids just like, "Hey, you're gonna see Star Wars? Yeah, Qui-Gon dies."
But not even school. You're like our age now,
Right? Yeah.
and you remember watching it when you were 11.
Right.
Like
right.
I mean,
back
like,
when you were a lad.
yes, like I can't imagine.
Back when I was a Padawan. But yeah, so characterization, you learn that Qui-Gon is the type to take it slow and steady. You get it's been said to death, but like prey is Darth Maul is stalking him like a predator would.
Yeah,
With the eyes of a jungle cat.
yeah.
And
I
then-
think the fight really also choreograph wise really leans on how quick and aggressive he is. He doesn't let up.
There's
Which is like the reverse of Jedi kind of methodology is wait.
There's
react.
there's a bunch of videos online about like they break down the fight scene and they show that some of the like a majority of the hits were they wouldn't have hit anyway because the actors obviously don't want to hit each other with sticks. But like that idea is very funny to me. Like the choreograph, I enjoy the choreography of the fight scene as well.
I don't want to it's that to me is in the family of people who break down Game of Thrones battles and how strategically they don't make sense. It's like, what are we doing?
Right.
Like I'm watching a film and in the language
There's
of
a dragon right there.
And also, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like I'm watching a film and in the language of the film, what I'm seeing is this incredibly quick, incredibly aggressive, unrelenting animal.
Yeah.
You know, which it says something on screen. It really communicates how different they are, even though they're both holding these laser swords. It's not just about style, and there's a feeling of comfort or safety when you see a Jedi, and there's a feeling of immense dread, and I mean almost like possibility when you see a creature, an imposing force like Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Anything could happen.
So, Qui-Gon is killed. Obi-Wan is knocked into the pit. He's able to jump out. Kills Darth Maul.
Despite higher ground rules.
Yeah. Don't, dude. I will defend this.
Kick.
He's too far down. Can't do that because I'll grab your leg, put you in. Should have jabbed down.
A barrel roll, that's a good move.
Spinning, that's a good move, yes.
Spinning, excuse me.
Yes.
Do a barrel roll!
Yeah, I mean, the the space fight, I don't really...
Zero stakes. It is it's classic. It's the problem with these prequels. It's something amazing is happening, and then don't worry, something will happen that will negate it, that will take away from the drama.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that might have done well with a Poe Dameron type character. Like somebody to bail Anakin out after he gets in too deep.
For me, this is a classic Hat in the Hat situation. I know that he has set up this thing, and that I know that Star Wars. I know that he has set up this plot point that something has to be done about the blockade. But to have us emotionally care about what is happening with that star battle at the same time as that lightsaber battle is death on screen.
Yeah,
it's the reason why you don't destroy the Death Star while Obi-Wan and Darth Vader are fighting on it. You do those things at a different time.
Pacing, one might say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I have notes. There are other ways we could have handled that. We could have, genuinely, Anakin doesn't have to be up there to have been heroic in the movie thus far. Right. He could have used his smarts. We could have done something down at the planet where we blow up the ship. Like, there were things that we could have done that kept it all planet side and kept all the action kind of relative to each other. That maybe even, like, Obi-Wan and Darth Maul are Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are defending them from like this control panel or something like that. Just something that keeps all of our characters together.
Right.
Rather than spreading them out and spreading us, the audience, out. And I mean, making us only really care about the thing that has the rad soundtrack.
Yeah. And the cool dude with horns.
Yes!
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, I didn't want to criticize too much, but you brought up the space fight. So I was like, all right, well, we're going to have to talk about it now.
Yeah.
I can't say that I care. I can't say that I like the movie more.
Okay.
I do like that I watched it this time and saw some things that I liked about it that I didn't necessarily like before. And things that I will always bring up from now on when people poo-poo it.
Good.
This is the one that is number...
The high ground thing makes sense.
No, it does not. This is the one that is number 2 for me. Everyone has the same list with the prequels. Revenge of the Sith is the best, Phantom Menace is okay, and Attack of the Clones is rather painful. Yeah, it's rather painful. But it was... I'm glad we did this.
Same.
I'm glad we talked about it.
Same.
How about you?
Is this the first time we've had like a legit argument on pod?
No, I feel like the X-Men thing
a
couple weeks ago was like a legit...
Yeah.
I don't even know if this counts as a legit argument. We discussed Phantom Menace.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe the higher ground thing. But that might go on forever.
It will.
We'll see when we retire.
Yeah. Just sitting on our rocking chairs, sipping lemonade.
It makes sense. That was just fuck.
Talking about me, I have always enjoyed this movie. I continue to enjoy this movie. I admit its faults. It is boring. It is barely a movie at times.
You know what? Let's not to be a negative Nancy, because I'll say something else positive. But was there anything that bothered you this time that's never bothered you before?
No.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've gotten all my gripes with this movie out back when I was in my early 20s.
Moving on from like just as a viewer, does that ever happen to you?
Oh yeah,
is that
there
just
are things
a me
that I will
thing?
Rewatch.
And then notice something that's you've never noticed before, and go,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Can you think of a good example? I can vamp for a little
I think
bit.
Spider-Man 3. Like the.
While you think of it, I've only seen that twice. And most of my experience with Spider-Man 3 is listening to the How Did This Get Made?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
But
I think it's the ending of Spider-Man 3. When I first saw it, I was like, that was a weird thing that happened, but I accept it. The ending where where Topher Grace jumps back into the Venom symbiote, I thought was really weird because I
don't remember that too well.
Well,
so at one point
at the end,
is that the pipe thing where you got the pipes
after
around
the
him?
terrible CGI Tobey Maguire. Yeah, after he sticks the pipes in the ground and causes the sonic disruption, Venom spits out Eddie Brock, and then the Green Goblin throws in a Goblin grenade, and Topher Grace jumps back into the Venom symbiote,
blowing himself up with
Venom. Exactly. Like at first watch, I was like, okay, that character's gone, and then upon later viewing, I'm like, that doesn't track. Like with what we're given in the movie, he wouldn't do that. He wasn't that desperate.
No.
But also maybe now that I'm thinking about it, Venom does he's a parasite, so he maybe feeds on it, makes you dependent on
the
him.
only thing I remember about that was liking the animation, actually.
You like the animation in that scene?
See, it's been so long.
It has been a while.
Yeah, I don't go.
Yep.
I don't. If I really don't like something, I remember really, really, really in a mortifying way having James Franco's performance really just great against me. And it's not the actor. I love the actor.
No, his character in that movie was gross to watch.
Yeah, and I think he didn't like it. I think he went to don't give a fuck. They're paying me for this. I'm contracted to do this.
I have to be in a scene where Chubby Checker plays and I'm making an omelet.
Bonker stuff, and I probably at this point have learned there's no point in me giving input.
Right, yeah.
This thing is bigger than me. I don't know. I certainly don't blame the actor per se. I just can't help how that art lands with me.
Yeah, I get it.
All right. Well, fuck, man. It's been a long one. You have some editing to do.
Yeah. We still got
we have
nerdy
homework?
things we did this week and homework to go over.
Let's do you first for homework. Where did I give you a Buffy, right?
Yes, you gave me Buffy. So I continued watching season 3.
Ooh, my favorite season.
So I really like this season so far. It is like, it's really concise and like everything feels like it feeds into the next thing without setting up this like crazy arc. Because I'm still in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
I think
it's sort of serialized. This is when TV starts pushing towards that. I wouldn't say, but yeah.
Yeah. So we have a new Slayer in town.
Faith.
Yeah.
Elijah Dushku. Make me a man.
Gross.
I was 13, buddy.
I dig it. Not saying I haven't been there, just saying gross. Mm-hmm. There's a new Watcher as well. Is there?
Who? Well, what have you watched? What have we like?
I don't know.
Let's say like most palpable memories of the last episode you watched. I can try to.
See, here's the thing.
Here's
I watched this.
Here's an edit point. Here's an edit point. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Because I want to try to jog your memory.
Sure.
And I'm going to list some episode titles.
Sure.
I
got past Dead Man.
Yeah, Anne was the worst. We talked about that. We talked about that on this very show. So, have you got to Band Candy? So you did Faith, Hope, and a Trick.
I also skipped over.
Okay, you got to Faith, Hope, and a Trick, which has the fat vampire guy who lives in a tub.
Yes.
How much did you love that?
It was very good. It was very good.
I genuinely...
a bunch of me hated it.
Really? Because they're night vampires or like medieval vampires?
I get it. It's just...
That feels like a thing that's right up your alley.
Yeah, it was weird. No, like the same part of me that hates Blood Drive hated that. But also, like, I love it.
Do you see Homecoming? Mr. Trick is like this, he's like this number 2 of the mayor, and he's very slick. He's this African American gentleman. He's always in suits. Did you see the Homecoming episode where they think that Cordelia is a Slayer?
I don't think so. I don't think I got there yet.
So then, all right. So you've seen Faith, Hope, and a Trick and Beauty and the Beasts, unless you skipped Homecoming and went to Band Candy. Band Candy, all the adults.
No, I don't think I would have skipped Homecoming.
Okay, buddy, Band Candy is one of my favorite episodes ever. It's top 5 for me. I cannot wait for you to see Band Candy.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So season 3 is really good. Before I give you X-Men again, before we go back to that thing, I would like for you to watch some more Buffy because I want to talk to you about Band Candy.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Sounds like a planned candy.
So my homework was we watched some WWF together. We're watching some wrestling.
Yes.
Even tonight, I don't care whether you edit this out or not, we might put on some wrestling and just leave the mic running. Let's see how it goes. But I am you were there. Let's talk about what happened. What was the first thing you showed me? You showed me the...
So I showed you some of WWE's developmental brand, NXT. I showed you a couple of matches. We watched the North American title match, the ladder match.
We watched the ladder match. Let's talk about that real quick.
Yes.
Who fought in the ladder match?
So we had Lars Sullivan, who's the big guy in the red trunks. Killian Dane.
Yeah.
We had Velveteen Dream. Adam Cole. Ricochet.
Yeah!
And was there somebody else?
No, I think Adam Cole. He's a bad. Yeah, there is someone else. Adam
EC3.
Cole. Yep,
EC3,
that's the other guy.
yes.
I don't like EC3.
Yes,
that guy can go suck it.
Good. He's a bad guy.
Yeah, I know he's a bad guy. I don't think I like Adam Cole that much, but he came out on top. He's
a whirlwind of charisma.
He looks like my friend Rob.
Shout out to Rob.
He never listened to the show. That was okay to watch. Like, it was, the Killian guy.
Killian Dane, yep.
And what was the other guy who said should be his friend?
Lars Sullivan.
That breaks my heart. I want them to be friends.
Because they're both big guys.
Okay. You make it sound like that's, crazy.
They have similar diets.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
And then the gentleman who's the prince kind of guy.
That's Velveteen Dream.
Okay.
Yep.
Couldn't care less. He kept doing stuff. I felt like he was overacting a lot. I know that that's sort of his style, and this was I just saw the one match or something like that. But so far, I'm blah, don't care, bro. The two bigger gentlemen, I'm curious. Okay. Killian and the other guy?
Killian Dane and Lars Sullivan.
Lars Sullivan. Lars Lars looks exhausted. Lars looks exhausted right away, which I find appealing. Ricochet's my
big
dude.
mood. Yeah, Ricochet's great.
That guy's like an acrobatic. Like, I don't even know. It's like Nightcrawler, except he's like Milano or Latin or something like that. I don't know. That guy's compelling. He's fun to watch.
He's the one and only.
I think he's one of the only guys, he was one of the only guys in that particular match that I found athletically compelling. Which is not to say anything about any of the performance in that match. Just for me in that match, that was the guy I was like, man,
yeah,
that Ricochet, goddamn.
It's definitely a high flyer.
My overall
interesting to watch.
Out of 5, I gave the match. I'd give the match a 3 for me as far as overall enjoyment and like overall like tracking what's going on and caring what's going on and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Now, the second thing we watched.
The second match, which was also an NXT match. It was #DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa facing off against the Revival for the NXT Tag Team Championships in a 2 out of 3 falls match.
And we don't like the Revival.
The Revival, they're bad guys. They want to bring tag team wrestling back to its roots.
These guys cheat. They're always having the referee turn around or something like that, or they'll send 2 guys in at one time. These guys are no good.
They're no good.
This fight, I at one point when the DIY guys almost got tagged out a second time, I stood up. I was emotionally invested. I understood the dynamics of the characters immediately. That was a 5 out of 5.
Simple, succinct storytelling.
Yeah. Yes, that was a 5 out of 5 for me. That was one. I mean, Vince literally, I saw it out of the corner of my eye when I stood up. Vince was like, I got him. It was like he threw a Pokeball at me and I just zapped inside of it. Like he captured. But I truly was. I was not putting on a bit for my friend or anything like that. We were watching this thing and I just didn't want those, what are they called?
The Revival.
I didn't want the Revival to win. Those guys are dingbats. And also one of the guys in DIY is like a year older than me. And I'm like, yeah, come on, buddy.
You can do it.
We watched one more that's not sticking out to me as well. Didn't we?
Yeah, well, we started watching...
We started watching some Japanese...
Yes. I started to put on a bit of New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is the biggest promotion outside of WWE.
I know we talked about it a little. Let's try to say new things. I keep talking about the props. I think it also... I'll be interested to see, once as I'm learning more about this, how the story arcs feel different.
Yes. So
I feel...
New Japan is a big fan of long-term storytelling. Mm-hmm. They'll tell stories over months, if not years.
I feel like there's a palpable nuance.
Very much so. They treat their
audience
with
in Western
intelligence.
wrestling. Yeah.
It's not even Western wrestling. There's a lot of really good storytelling in Western wrestling. WWE kind of codifies themselves in order to fit with a broad demographic because the average watching audience just wants to see flippy stuff and the dudes that they know that they're supposed to root for. And they also want to see the same moves every match so that way they don't feel like they're missing out on anything.
So, I mean, overall, my homework, I always like to give a grade on it. So far, I'm intrigued by wrestling, but it's not a thing I would watch on my own. It's a thing like even my homework I wanted to do with you. And, like, not just as a guiding hand, but because, like, there's, like, for me, it'll be, like, more, what's more enjoyable is, like, the communal thing, and also, especially because I'm a neophyte, having you explain to me, like, what exactly I'm looking at.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But it's not
honestly,
like
wrestling should be enjoyed with other people.
Right.
It's a social experience.
Right. Yeah, and that's where I'm in. I don't have any Fish albums, but I'll go see them live.
Right.
That's where I'm at with wrestling. I just right now, and I'm also just as far as like a little inside baseball or sausage or whatever. It was like I feel like this is really great for the show. Yeah. We talked about doing a separate project and stuff, and it's like it's interesting. So as far as my homework goes, another 10 out of 10. Like I'm glad that I enjoyed that art. I'm glad that I experienced that art, rather.
Good. I'm glad that you gave it a try, honestly, because
I'm more than giving it a try.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're in
I
it
want
now.
to know. Yeah.
But yeah, like it's not uncommon for me to be like, hey, you should check out this wrestling thing, and for my friends who aren't into it to be like, or not.
Well, okay. It's interesting, especially through a Vince filter.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that if someone else, like, especially because of the way you've been presenting it to me, I'm like, okay. Like, it's like you're good at, like, the breadcrumbs. So, like, you know, you've let me into it well. I didn't just jump into the deep end, like, you should watch wrestling. So, nerdy things we did, I guess, over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. So, I've gotten super into a garbage TV show. Love Island.
What's Love Island on?
Hulu.
What's the premise of Love Island?
So they take a bunch of gorgeous British people and they put them into an Italian villa. And every week or so, anybody who's not coupled up gets the boot. But they bring in people. They have challenges.
You mean they get to stay in Italy?
Yeah. Well, no, they get kicked out
sorry,
of Italy.
That's a really bad boot joke. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Boy.
I'm so sorry.
You should be. But it's wonderful and intriguing, and I love it. It's super fun and just dumb, but the drama is there.
This feels like a thing you're watching with your lady.
I am watching it with my lady. I also turned my coworkers onto it because I told them it's Game of Thrones with less blood.
Well, you guys comment about how much better you are than the people who are on the show.
Oh, we do not do that.
Oh no.
No.
Honestly, Are they like gross British people who are like,
no.
Honestly, I don't understand like what he's hung up about because it's like, I mean, I'm just doing me, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to get in anybody else's way, but it's like, bruh, or like that kind of.
It's less of that. I mean, that part's still there. Like, it's still a television show where you're supposed to find your true love.
I'm not here to make any friends, mate.
That they do say, this isn't Friends Island. A lot. But, like, the people on the show,
glorious.
You would expect them to be one-dimensional and, like, vapid, but they're not. Like, they have personalities, and you'll see there's this hulking guy on there who they refer to as Hulk. His name's Jordan, but he's huge. And he's very attractive. But there's one scene where he hasn't found like a love connection yet, but everybody gets partnered up, and his partner is given the choice whether or not she would like to take a newcomer to the villa on a date. And she refuses. So when that's announced, like when they say which of the girls is taking the newcomers out, Hulk goes to his partner and he says, hey, high five for not going on the date. And she takes that as, you know, like, I'm glad you knew that you wouldn't have it.
Grosso, right, or whatever. Right.
But in reality, he was glad that he thought that they had a friendship that she wouldn't be willing to give up.
Right.
So when she didn't reciprocate his high five, he broke down into tears because he honestly meant, no, I'm just glad that you think we have a friendship because I also think that.
Right.
And when she didn't reciprocate the high five, he was thought, oh no, maybe I was thinking the wrong thing, or maybe.
See, I thought for a second I would have to break down to the listeners that your idea of narrative death is questionable, but then you just did that, and I don't have to do that.
But it's interpersonal drama, and it's wonderful.
What else you got? What else you got for me? We gotta
all
move
right,
on.
Moving on.
What else you got for me?
I started a new role-playing campaign. My group of friends did. It's being game mastered by my best friend.
B Chisel,
as we refer to him here, and nowhere else. But we had a session 0 where everybody built their characters, and we kind of refined the world that we're going to be playing in, and like the time frame that we're going to be playing in. And I am super stoked for it because we've been playing a lot of like fantasy, and this is a sci-fi,
right?
Sci-fi fantasy type deal. And I am super stoked to get it started. And
sweet.
Yeah,
all right.
I also got 4 more pages of my comic book.
Oh, nice.
Yep. We're up to page 16. Oh. So it'll be wrapping up the
You
first
mean
issue.
artwork? You got 4 more pages done, Or do you have 4 more
Yeah.
pages of your script?
So I sent an 18-page script. We're up to page 16 with art, but the art tells the story in... Like, I work with the artist to tell the story in a more cohesive fashion and to get more visual, like, reference or even jokes in.
Okay.
So my 18-page script is probably going to end up being 22 pages.
Well, I guess more what I'm saying is you saw 4 more pages?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or you produced 4 more. Okay. The end of your nerdy things I did this week remind me of, this is nerdy things I intend to do. Sure. So my brother and past guest on the show, JoJo, used to DM for me and past guest on the show, Sarah, and my lovely lady, True. And JoJo doesn't love DMing. He is really good at it, but also always feels like he did a terrible job.
That's the DM's curse.
My sister and Kelly were both nervous about having someone else do it, specifically you, because it was like, oh, what if Vince is mean? I'm terrible. We've all discussed it, and we would like to know if you would like to DM for us.
I would 100% love to DM for you guys.
Off mic, we will come up with a free time in your schedule. We all talked about it on Father's Day.
Solid.
Other nerdy
My favorite
things.
holiday.
Other nerdy things I've been doing. I almost hit you up, by the way. I almost sent you a Nick Cage thing. I was like, I don't know if we're friendly enough to
Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
I was like, this might be jarring up old stuff for him. The other nerdy things I've done. I've read the Mirror Mirror Star Trek comic.
Okay.
That is in your collection. I would love for you to read it, except there's no way you'd understand how fucking crazy it is. It's so crazy. Here's the thing. So, in Mirror Mirror, I've talked to you about a little. It's evil Star Trek universe.
Yep.
Here's the thing about
Picard with a goatee.
Picard with a gootee, and no one has sleeves.
Yeah, I remember
Sun's
this.
out, guns out, baby. Everyone is just cacao.
In the Mirror universe, everybody's ripped.
Dude, it's wonderful. So I read those. That was just stupid fun crap to read. I noticed a book called Worst X-Men Ever.
Yes, worst X-Men ever.
Vince, can you tell me about Worst X-Men Ever? Because I went to download it and I went, no, this seems like fodder for the show.
Yeah, so Worst X-Men Ever is written by Max Bemis, who is the lead singer of one of my favorite bands, Say Anything. Mm-hmm. He has loved comics his entire life. He's written a bunch of comics, honestly. He had an indie project called Polaris, I believe. He suffers from, what is it called? Man.
Millennialism.
No, when you change emotions rapidly.
Bipolar?
Bipolar, yes. He suffers from bipolar disorder, and he writes comics about that. But X-Men Ever is a different endeavor. Worst X-Men Ever. So Worst X-Men Ever focuses on this kid whose mutant power is that he can explode once.
No.
And he does it in the beginning of the story. So he can he can explode and put himself together once. He can explode whenever. But he's a mutant, so he gets enrolled into the Xavier School, and he has to deal with being classified as a mutant, but having no prowess or nothing stand out amongst these gods who he walks the halls with. And it's wonderful.
You recommend the book?
100%.
Yeah?
Yeah, he gets a mech suit. It's great.
Okay,
it's
cool.
really cool.
Yeah. That's not homework. I'm going to read that.
Yeah, no worries.
So, what else have I been reading? I actually feel like I've been reading other stuff. I actually have been reading Saga a little bit, but I own those books physically, so that's not as impressive. Crap I've been watching. I've been doing like my weird HBO things. Like I phased off of Sopranos and I started watching Rome.
Okay, gotcha.
But it's my third or, I don't know, 7th time watching Rome.
Was Spartacus on HBO?
No, that was
something else.
Showtime.
Showtime.
I never watched that. I guess that kind of is it. I feel like this other crap I've read, it'll probably hit me later.
Sure.
It's been a weird 2 weeks.
I get it.
Yeah. So?
Do you have homework for me?
Yeah, I want you to watch more Buffy because I want to talk about Bandcamp.
Okay. your homework is I want you to watch whatever videos tickle your fancy on the Cinema Wins YouTube channel.
Write that down.
It is awesome and fun and wonderful and optimistic.
That's the right thing.
I love it.
Cinema Wins?
Cinema Wins.
You told me earlier... Okay, so they also did a thing called Cinema Sins.
No. Cinema Sins is a different thing altogether. This is kind of like... This is the Mirror Universe version of that, where he shaves the goatee.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
Wow,
I'm not a fan of Cinema Sins. I am a huge fan of Cinema Wins.
Wins. Gotcha.
Yep.
All right. So that's it. Do you want to hear some funny names I've been writing down?
Yes.
All right. We got Rich Flavors.
Nice.
Twins. All right. Heidi and Findy.
Bad.
This inspired by you. Sharon Moorhead.
Mm-hmm.
Skip Intro.
That's a really good one.
You're going to like the next one then. Link in bio.
Nice.
That's it.
Speaking of links in bios, feel free to follow us at nerdy_pod on Twitter. Got the plug in there.
And the award goes to for best plug segue. All right, well, man, we did plugs, we did funny names. I feel like that's the end of the show. And Vince, you know how we end the show every week.
Yes, I do, of course. And it's by doing the Duel of Fates.
Oh my God, Darth Maul is actually here. Stop